Our guest, Kimberly A. Branch, is an educator from Fort Worth Independent School District. She has been recognized by Marquise Who's Who top educators for her dedication to language arts. With nearly 30 years of experience, she excels in student engagement, fostering confidence and resilience in her classroom. She holds multiple degrees and is pursuing a PhD at Texas Wesleyan University. Beyond teaching, she co chairs a young adult program, supports youth nonprofits, and is actively engaged in her community. A Golden Apple Award nominee, she credits her success to strong mentors and looks forward to completing her doctorate and mentoring future educators. Hello, Kimberly. How are you?
I am fine. How are you, Dr. Jewel?
I am elated. Let me tell you, I'm elated because I believe in the educator, and to have an African American female is exciting because we go through a lot in education,
Yes.
and I believe wellness collectively for any educator is important. But statistically, we have concerns. And so that's why I want to speak to educators, especially the Black female educators, so that we can address some of the concerns, hear what some of the concerns are, and see how some people are really and truly adapting to change, adapting to their lifestyles. Times have changed over the past 20 some odd years in education.
It has. And I've learned that as far as like health and wellness, I've been teaching now 27 years. And I'm originally from Chicago and live in Texas right now. So I started my teaching career in Chicago. And I was, that one teacher that arrived hour and a half early. You could see my car still in the parking lot an hour and a half late. Within the last 2 years, I've casually worked myself to not be that person that's there late. I still get there early because it's something about me adjusting from home to work that I
Yes.
still need. But I've learned to take time for me. One of the other things that I've been doing this year is that for the first year of my teaching history, I didn't bring any papers home with me to grade for Christmas break. So I
Oh,
just really took some time to relax, focus on me. And finding myself doing that as well during the day. Like if it don't get done at work, it can't come home with me.
right.
It cannot. So I'm learning, and I think that for me, part of that help came from COVID. So if you want to
Yes.
talk about something positive that came out of COVID 19,
Yes.
that would be one of the things because we didn't have our supplies. Like we weren't there. I didn't have the grade papers. I didn't have to, because it was all technology.
Yes.
And so, I've just learned that I've got to do some things for me, and I'm learning the art of saying no.
Uh-oh.
Yes, because you can't do everything.
Do you feel like you have to have that superpower all the time when you're at work?
Well, I feel like, it's just certain things that people expect for you to do.
Oh, okay.
So, let me give you a quick example of that.
Sure.
I'm an African American, not that I wouldn't do it,
Uh-huh.
African American female, but it's Black History Month.
Mhm.
And so, I work in a mixed population.
Yes.
And so, but it is just assumed that, all the Black folks are going to put this on. Black History Month. We're gonna have it all done and everything's gonna be together, whatever. What about if I didn't want to participate? And so it's things like that. Whereas it's that common thing of we know she'll get it done, or we know they'll get it done, so we'll give it to this person to get it done. And then, the other people that slack off, nothing happens. They don't.
Mhm.
So is that right there.
Yeah, and I think that when I mention that superpower, I really mean it. Um, Not saying they expect, but the superpower is there.
Yes.
You can do all if it's not doing well, then I'm sure you could correct it. Um, and that goes with even like acquiring the student engagement, acquiring classroom transformations. Do you find that for your own mental and intellectual health, do you find when you construct your lessons or prepare for the day when you're in that classroom that you have to protect what you share, or how you even go about even communicating with the student just to protect your wellness.
In some sense, yeah, but in some sense, no, because my personality is one of that I am 100 down to it. I don't go around the Mulberry Hill. I tend to go straight. I walk the straight path. And so, with my kids, that's one thing they will find with me is that I am very, very honest with them. And I like for my students to be aware of things that are going on. If it's something, and not giving them too much, but in the instance where today, they were a little concerned because I had on a mask at work. So, what's going on? Well, I don't really feel well. I've got a cold and I don't want to give you anything. So, I like for them to know, what's going on with me, because they need to feel that I'm human.
Mm.
And that's one of the ways I'm able to bond with my kids because they have to know that I go to the grocery store just like their mothers do on the weekend because I have to feed my household. They have to know that I experience this illness, sickness, deaths in my family,
Yeah.
that I have all these experiences just like they would. And so a lot of times I share my personal life with my students so that they know what's going on with me. Because if you don't know they watching you, honey, they're watching
Who
you.
you telling? Yeah.
They can tell me when I got on a new pair of shoes or something they ain't seen. They can tell me if the earrings are new. Yeah, they got questions.
I'm familiar with what you're doing, but tell them the age. Let's tell our viewers what age group you're normally with.
So I'm a third grade teacher. So I'm working in between ages 8 and 9.
Hmm. I call it the power level because they're no longer like in that pre elementary part, that primary part, and they're not quite even the upper elementary, but they're just learning that upper elementary stage and they're kind of finding themselves a
So
little
what
bit
I
more.
say is this is the way I introduced it to my parents, and I have a teammate because I strictly teach literature. I just teach the reading, writing, and spelling curriculum. So I have a teammate that teaches math. And when we're in our conferences, we've been together teaching for 4 years together as teammates. And when we're in our conference, we explain to our parents when they're coming into third grade, honey, it is like ripping the training wheels off a bike and saying go. It is like taking your baby and putting your baby into college. This is what third grade is going to be like. It is nothing that you've ever experienced, nothing that they have ever experienced. The growing pains are going to come, and there's nothing they did in second grade that's going to correlate to what we're going to do in third grade.
Yeah.
It's the first year of testing for them, standardized testing for them. It's just a big difference in the way the curriculum is structured. And with a lot of my parents, they don't know at the third grade level that my job is not to teach your child to read. My job is to teach your child how to comprehend what they are reading. So I don't teach how to read. So when they come to me and they're at a deficit of not being able to read, that's a big issue in the beginning. That's a big downfall for them at the beginning because I'm teaching them how to comprehend. Like, can you select the main idea? Can you support that main idea with details? Do you know what kind of text you're reading? That type of thing. How do these photos support what the title says, etc.? That's what I'm teaching. I'm not teaching the little boy sat. That's not what I do. And so they don't get that portion of me. And the parents are like flabbergasted to learn, like, so if my child can't read, you're not really going to work on it. Well, according to what my curriculum says,
Mm-hmm.
that's not my job description. And so, will I spend time in small group with your child? Yes, I will. But I'm going to tell you, they're not going to master what you think they're missing
Yeah.
because my job, again, is to teach the comprehension piece.
Glad you mentioned that. One thing that I realize in education is that we have to protect ourselves in a sense because sometimes we want to go beyond the curriculum, which can
Yes.
create that extra stress on us because we see what's lacking.
And
And
you
that
want to fix
creates
it.
a pressure for us to catch up to the curriculum because you've sagged and lagged behind.
Yes.
So what do you do to make sure that you don't get in that trap, in that space? Because parents are going to keep asking, but you have a curriculum that you need to continue. You still want to see the child succeed, but there's that little mini gap. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes. So part of that is just me being who I am and making sure that my students have those accommodations. So we want to get them, registered into MTS, ask for testing to make sure. Let's go that avenue and make sure that there are not some things missing, such as dyslexia, that type of thing. And when they're in the classroom, I want to give them some classroom supports. Of course, I want to make sure they're in small group. If they have issues of reading, then I want to give them accommodations for text to speech so that they can hear and it can be spoken to them. Now, one of the things that we do have with our dyslexia teacher who works hand in hand with me is that she has installed on the kids' iPads a program in which if they take a photo of the text, it will read it to them. Now, I allow them to use that up until December. And then once December comes, they have to wean from it because, of course, in testing for here in Texas, with accommodations and special education, the only thing that can be read to a child are the directions and the questions.
Yeah.
Text passages cannot be read. So I don't like for those kids to become dependent on somebody else reading it to them and then they don't know how to do it themselves. So I make them struggle from January up until test time to be able to pick up the pieces. And that's when I see majority of the growth within my students because now they understand this is real time, work time, and we shut down for STAR to just start teaching STAR curriculum. And so they understand this pressure. I'll have to learn some sight words.
Yeah. Do you feel that pressure?
I do feel the pressure when it comes to testing time because we have tons and tons of data meetings and tons of looking at where you need your kids to be and where they're at, where they're going to, where they need to be, and who specifically are we needing to push
Yeah.
to get over. And then, of course, as well as Texas being a TIA state where teachers are compensated for their scores. Yes. So depends on where you fall.
That is psychological pressure right there.
Yeah. So and it depends on where you fall at, of course, with your T-test scores and your evaluation. For example, for a master teacher whose children score in the high 90s,
Yes.
the 90 percentile, we could earn up to $33,000 extra. And because of the district I work in is a little bit different than most. So I am with Fort Worth ISD. However, we are with Texas Wesleyan University, who operates us. We have 6 schools under Texas Wesleyan. They have been nicknamed Leadership Academy Network schools. And so while we follow the calendar of Fort Worth ISD, we don't follow the curriculum of Fort Worth ISD. Our curriculum is separate because it comes from Leadership Academy Network. And so we do things a little bit differently. And we also are able with them to receive 100% of our money for TIA initiatives.
Really?
Yes. So we have 5 schools that are elementary and 1 middle school that are under Land Leadership Academy.
Kimberly, you gave me a lot. Listen, before we get closer to the very end, because we're getting close to the end, I know you stated that you wanted to talk about intellectual wellness. How do you protect your intellect? How do you focus on giving yourself and feeding yourself intellectually? What are some of the things that you do?
Well, currently, right now, Dr. Jewel, I am in a doctorate program studying to get my doctorate, yes, in leadership. So I like to continue to encourage myself to read. That's why I'm a reading teacher. I like to read. So, and I'll find myself, reading books that are for me as
Okay.
well as any new novels coming out for kids that have won awards, etc. I want to know what my students are reading, and so I want the chance to catch up, or if I can use that book to gather any, lessons from.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I do a lot of reading, and just sitting up, getting comfortable with a good book. That's me.
I hear you. Do you get tea or do you get coffee?
I like coffee, and it's a funny thing because coffee puts most people to, up and up. I drink coffee before I go to bed, and I can still go to
Really?
sleep. Yes, it's just coffee is my calming. It doesn't energize me. It just calms my nerves.
It's just your chemical makeup. That's all the difference
Yeah.
is. That's all. That's all.
Yes.
Kimberly, it has been wonderful having you here. And hopefully, what you have stated to others will increase them into the wellness part of their life. You have given so many suggestions, what you're doing in the beginning, how testing can affect you. You have gone through a gamut of items with our listeners. And I just want to say thank you so much for what you do. Do you have one key thing you would love to share with the audience that you would like to leave an educator with your 27 years of experience? And trust me, we always have something we can give to someone who is just starting out, okay, within their first 5 years, even. What would be your one key thing you would like to tell them?
I think that student engagement is important. And I think that if you can keep your students engaged, and one of the ways I've been able to do that is through classroom transformations. And I have a few videos out with the Leadership Academy of me transforming my classrooms into things like clinics, racetracks. And so I normally do that every 6 weeks. It's a lot of work,
Yes, it is.
but if you want to see that low child participate
Yes.
and put a smile on that child's face and let that child be independent, that day they always are, and they stay engaged because it's something they want to do, and they're transfixed with the environment, but yet they're still learning. So that engagement part is so big because right now teachers are accustomed to teaching to the test because that's what we're told to do, and we lack bringing the fun back. Bring the fun back.
Yes.
Get it back.
Too bad I don't have any balloons putting out here right now because that's what we need to have. Bring the fun back.
Bring it back.
Yes, because it's going to help us.
Dr. Jewel, it takes away the behavior issues for the day or two.
Right?
Yes, so it's a number of things that it helps.
Yes.
So we've got to be able to, and not only that, but it's differentiation because it's a mix of things going to each learner. Every learner doesn't learn the same way.
No.
And so we have to make that, pencil and paper is not always going to work. Technology is not going to always work. So we've got to give them some other things to be able to do. And we're competing with technology in these games. So you got to make it interesting.
And you gotta stay up to that too, though. You gotta know what they're doing because
Yeah,
it's growing faster than what we can keep up with, actually, the technology piece. It really
it
is.
is.
It really
It is.
It's been fun. I really enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you
And
for having me.
Dr. Kimberly. I love it. I love it.
Yes.
Well, you take care and thank you so much for listening to Cold Press Conversations.